me tell you how fucking unhinged I come when people talk about the clock. All right, so look, the rest of the world calls it 24-hour time. We're the only country that refers to it as military time. So when I who work for the government, right? When I type my emails and my times and my move sheets, whatever, I use 24-hour time. And I get these people that come back and they're like, oh, can you put that in regular time? No, you fucking heathen.
You heathen. Wow.
Because I don't need to use a fucking colon and I don't need to put AM or PM because I put 1700. If you can't subtract 12, call your parents and tell them they did a terrible job raising you. It's not that fucking hard. When I was, admittedly, my dad's retired Navy, but I was at home one time way back in the when, and my mom was like, what time is it? And I was like, it's 1300. She's like, it's 1 o'clock. And I was like,
yeah, we said the same thing.
I got it.
Thanks.
I got it. Okay. I figured it out. Because I was 8, not an adult who votes and wipes their own ass. No, I don't give a shit if you can't tell. We're the only country that calls it military time, and I am convinced it's because we put it in like movies and whatever, and we like glamorize it. But the rest of the world calls it 24-hour time. And do you know why? Because there's 24 hours in a day. I don't understand the level of it. We let these people vote.
This is Hugh.
We let them drive cars.
You have a rough week
and have kids. I honestly had a great week, but this morning this motherfucker came right for me. I was like, "Listen here, guy with 3 kids. Your kids are going to public school." Is all I'm hearing.
Oh, so dude, I had a great week too because as you can see, I'm decked out in my New York Rangers gear.
Oh my God, we get it. The Rangers.
Yeah, I know. I'm a diehard fucking hockey fan. And I love my Rangers, and they fucking won all 3 preseason games. Yeah, thank you very much.
It's
gonna be on.
Nobody cares.
Dude, I do.
How'd the Giants do?
Wow. Wow. That's what we're doing now? That's how we're treating each other?
Yeah,
after all these years? After all these years. Anyway, everyone, thank you so much for joining the Liberty Risk podcast. It's awesome to have you guys back. We have another amazing guest here. We got Haley DeGreve from the Gray Matters Collective. Haley, what's going on? We appreciate you being here with us.
Oh, I'm having so much fun already. So thank you for having me. This is going to be great.
Yeah, it's going to be.
Haley, where are you joining us from tonight?
I am in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, but I am actually from Moline, Illinois. So I'm a little bit out of my hometown. I'm in a hotel room right now, but Cedar Rapids, Iowa, good old Midwest.
Nice.
Well, we love your background. We appreciate you taking this time. So, we had
one at a time. I love that. Changing the world one at a time.
Yes. There's a whole reason why we have the starfish, and I can explain that at some point. But
yeah, we're going to dig into that. We had some fun in the green room. This is going to be, for those that are just tuning in, this is going to be a pretty awesome show. Get your tissues ready though, because we're gonna dig into it, and there's going to be some tear-jerking moments. I can guarantee that. But it's going to be fun, like we usually do on here. And yeah, Hugh, go ahead. Yeah, I know you got some questions you want to.
I do. Lined up. So Haley, you graduated from Augustana College.
Augustana. Yep.
Augustana College. Yeah. No, I learned I didn't know this until I moved up here to Maine, but you can only pronounce certain things a certain way based on you're from. So like my dad was stationed in Bangor, Washington, but there's Bangor, Maine, spelled the same, but I'm not allowed to say it the way in which my dad was stationed there. Yeah. So
no, you can't.
Billy's from Long Island, but unless you're
Queens, New York,
then it's
and Long
Island.
Long Island. Yeah, you doing over there?
So you went to Augustana College. What did you study there, Augustana?
So I was a double major. So I studied communication studies and marketing, and then I had a minor in multimedia journalism and mass communications. So
Jesus Christ! What year did you graduate?
2020. Good old COVID.
I was going to ask, did you, so like 2020, so you were entering college in 2017. Did you perceive the pandemic coming and you're like, I know how to make my money?
I wish. No, my college graduation was me sitting on the couch with my favorite drink in the world, Dr. Pepper, eating Doritos with my dogs around me in sweatpants. Oh my gosh! I am a Dr. Pepper fanatic. Like Dr. Pepper is the shit.
Midwest.
Oh yeah. So listen, I'm well fed, as my daughter told me today. Shitty 13-year-old told me you're well fed. You're not fat. Yeah. Anyway, same thing. But she
All
gets
right,
me the
kid who's
Dr.
adopted.
She I let her Instacart like snacks and stuff.
Yeah.
Gets me the Dr. Pepper Zero Sugars because she's
Oh,
like,
and Dr. Pepper Zero is the best. So I have Dr. Pepper
my gosh.
candles. I have Dr. Pepper socks.
What?
Yeah. They
Candles?
make Dr. Pepper candles. They do, and they're amazing.
they are. I have 2 of
All
them.
right. Oh
Yeah.
my god.
Big fan.
Shit,
Big
I just
fan.
admitted that.
So you're from the Midwest, obviously. Clearly. All right. So when you were in college, go ahead.
Yes. So yeah, I studied communications, marketing, and loved my time in college. But my college was in my hometown, so I've never actually lived out of my hometown area. I've lived there my whole life, and when I was there, I actually ended up getting hired at John Deere, and that's where I am now. So
fucking hell. Tell me you're fucking American without telling me you're American. Oh yeah, I work at fucking John Deere.
Hey, listen, John Deere. There's some stuff that I heard on the news. They got to keep it here in the States, or they're gonna get charged a lot of fees from what I heard.
Whatever. Yeah, tell me you're American without telling me you're American. It's like, you wear your Carhartts out there to the tractors to do the programmings.
So what do you do for John Deere? Like, what do you?
So
John Deere, give us free stuff.
Yeah, Hugh.
Hey,
let me just
everyone loves the John Deere
every time.
Iconic brand. So I work in communications and absolutely love my job. It's internal employee communications, and I love it. I really do. And people ask me all the time. They're like, "Would you ever quit your job to do nonprofit full time?" And my answer has always been no, because I love the people that work at Deere, and I love what we do. I mean, there is nothing better than waking up every day and knowing that the work that you're doing is helping feed, clothe, and shelter the world. Like that is supporting people who do that, right?
No, that's
some shit.
What the other thing too is it's really truly a blessing, especially in this day and age, to be able to wake up and get excited to go to work.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's really a blessing. Is like, how many times
a high bar for a lot of people. Like, oh man, I get to wake up, but the high bar is like I'm happy to go to work.
Yeah. So that's awesome. That's such a great company. And you've been there since when?
Since 2018. Wow. I started as a part-time student, and I mean, it's been great, and I feel really lucky to have the job that I do and the company that I work for, and just made so many great friendships that have come out of the workplace too. I mean, it's just,
I can only imagine. I can only imagine. Yeah,
good old Midwest. I mean, the people you meet in the Midwest are just so nice anyways. Like you run into someone on the street and it's just like, oh, sorry, I didn't see you there. You know, the good old Midwestern oaks. So,
the oaks, yeah.
I
help you too. Like the difference between the Midwest and New England is like both regions will be willing to help you, but like in New England, in the Midwest, they're kind about it. In New England, like, come here, you fucking piece of shit.
They're like, they'll break you down.
American runs on dunks, but we're gonna get you back on the road here, bud.
Yeah.
So you've been asked if you would go nonprofit full time, and you started the Gray Matters. What year was that?
So I started the Gray Matters Collective. It technically was December of 2018 was when the movement started. We didn't become a nonprofit until 2021, I think, 2022 timeframe. But the movement and the message started December of 2018.
Okay, so if you are listening or watching and you have not checked it out yet, the Gray Matters Collective, Haley has a TED Talk. It's about 15 minutes long. Put your headphones down and grab a glass of water and a box of tissues because it kind of hurts. Haley, tell us a little bit about the Gray Matters Collective. What is it that got the Gray Matters Collective started?
Yeah. Oh, this is one of my favorite stories. So I've had my own personal journey with mental health, which I'm going to put to the side for a second because I want to talk about how this really got started, removing my own story. So this movement started as a conversation in a coffee shop, and I have my coffee here with me today in honor of that. But it started as a conversation in a coffee shop. I was a junior at Augustana College at the time, and I was going through my own mental health issues, but I also was recognizing that other people around me were going through similar things, but no one knew how to talk about it. I think COVID 2020 was kind of the first time that we started as a society talking about depression and anxiety, but still not, where we need to be. But before that, mental health was really a taboo topic. It still is, obviously, but a lot worse then. And so when I was on campus, I'd noticed I was in this coffee shop doing homework, and I heard some students behind me actually talking about some of their own struggles with mental health. And I heard the word suicide. And that's when I immediately, sat up, because I've had my own experiences. I also witnessed my best friend at the age of 12. She attempted to take her life. And so there were a lot of things in my life that, have led me to the passion for this. But at the time, I'm like, we're all going through this, but we're not talking about it. So that day, in the coffee shop, we decided, I had this idea to do a mental health campaign. And we wanted it to be called the Gray Matters campaign at first. We wanted to create a splash on campus that couldn't be ignored. So we did this campaign, and in 5-6 weeks, we got 66 students together, and they took pictures. We had a photographer. His name's Kevin Donovan. He has been with me from the very start. And he took these amazing black and white portraits of students, and each student put a slogan that they wanted to tell the world about mental health over their face. And it was just these super cool images. And we printed them out. We put them up all over campus on February 5th of 2019. And people posted them online and shared their stories. And all in one day. It was like, I remember there was one day all of the students at Augie got on social media, and it was just story after story after story about mental health. And then you're walking to class, and the professors and the students can't go anywhere on campus without seeing a message about mental health. I mean, it was just everywhere. And so then that night, we wanted to have this big event to basically launch these posters, and the president of the college called off his night to be there, and it was going to be this huge event. And 5 minutes before the event was supposed to start, it's 5:55 p.m. We had 300 chairs in the room, and we had 5 students there. And I remember thinking, like, this is a huge failure. Where are the students? This was our chance to tell administration.
Yeah, it's stories and stories of students saying that they are all feeling the same way.
Right.
300, you were ready for 300, 5 show up.
Yes. So to my surprise, I get a phone call, and it's the local news, and they tell me they were going to come to our event to cover the story. And then they said, I'm so sorry, we're not going to be able to make it. One of the worst ice storms just rolled in. And it was one of the worst ice storms that we've seen in years in Rock Island, Illinois.
Oh, yeah. I was going to ask where your college was. So it is still an ice storm. It's the worst, but it's an ice storm. They've seen it before. Mm-hmm. And they can no longer come to your event that is supposed to highlight the mental stress that personnel are feeling at this point in time.
Yes.
They can cover an ice storm, though.
Yes. So
for sure.
So to my surprise, though, a few minutes later, over 350 students came through the door. They had met up on campus to walk through the ice storm together, and they all showed up at once, and people were drenched in snow. There's a picture that I have printed out, actually, that I keep on my desk as a reminder, and it's a picture of the room outside of the door, because there are students sitting on the ground out the door because we ran out of chairs. And the president of the college looked at me, and I just remember he had tears in his eyes, and he said, if this doesn't tell me that we need to make mental health a priority for students, I don't know what will. And after that event, they made some drastic changes to the campus that have been for the better. And since then, other students from other schools started looking at what we did at Augustana. We still have a chapter there today of students that meet and advocate on campus. But since then, we have now expanded into over 60 schools in the Midwest.
Oh my God.
Of the very first event.
Jesus, 60 schools?
Yeah.
That's impressive. That's insanely impressive. Just since 2019.
Yep. And we have Well, actually, since 2021, because 2021 was when we instilled our first high school. It was just at Augie at the time, and when I graduated, some students kept it going, and then there were more students that came to me and said, "Can we have a Gray Matters chapter at our school?" And it's just taken off since then. And the really amazing thing about this is it really is student led.
So hold on, I want to interrupt you right there because
Yeah.
I caught something you just said. You said Gray Matter Shepherd?
Chapter.
Did I hear chapter? Okay. I just want to make sure I heard that right. Okay.
Yep, Gray Matters chapters, middle school, high school, colleges, but we have now identified that, like advocacy goes beyond so much more than just organizational structure. Like it's a message, right? It's a movement. It's all about checking in on the people around you. It doesn't matter where you are. And so we had some first responders and veterans in the area who said, can we start a veterans chapter? So now we have a veterans chapter. We have a first responders chapter. There have been some farmers locally that are like, can we have an agriculture chapter? 1 in 4 farmers in America die by suicide. That's the statistic for farmers. So
1 in 4?
Hold on. I want you
Holy shit.
Say that one more time for me, Haley, so that people understand that.
1 in 4 farmers in America will die by suicide. That is
so the people that put food on our tables, that grow the food that gets put on our tables. 1 in 4 of those farmers, 25%, take their own lives every year.
That's insane. That's an insane number.
Yep. Yeah.
Holy
if you
shit.
look at the top 5 industries with the highest rates of suicide, it's construction, agriculture, mining, forestry, and warehousing. Those are the top 5 industries with the highest rates of suicide, just within like a working environment, which is pretty
non-military related stuff. Yeah.
Yes.
I see what you mean by that. So from a civilian standpoint, because there is a different, on suicide alone, and this is where we're going with all this, is horrible, and it's something we, from a veteran standpoint, we've always, like we talked about in the green room, you and I both serve and have served. You always want to get to 0, right? 0 is the ultimate goal.
Yes.
Right. So the one thing I never really understood, suicide is suicide. Yeah. It doesn't matter whether you wore a uniform or not. So the one thing I never understood was separating these statistics. It's just like, okay, well, how many people, human beings, take their own lives every year? But I see where you're going with this, with that separation. So one more time, tell me those top 5.
Agriculture, construction, mining, forestry, and warehousing.
Wow. Yeah. People that literally.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's.
You think about the contribution those jobs,
they all do.
Those job fields are having across the United States. Like it's, we make jokes all the time about like when people will say stuff like, oh, something this other country, and then you like put it over top of America. It's like, well, okay, I get it. But then you look at like the scope of America. You're talking about mining, quarry and oil and gas extraction, construction, other services, agriculture, fishing, forestry, hunting, and transportation warehouses. That's the backbone of this fucking country. That's what gets 100%. My food to my stores. It's what allows me to burn fuel. Right. It is what allows my car to drive on the road. It's what built my fucking house. Yep. That's insane.
Yeah.
25%.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Another horrifying statistic that this one, as well as what we're talking about now, for me it's just an insane gut punch every day, and it's honestly why I wake up every day and suicide prevention is the first thought on my mind. Yeah. Is that in America, a 10-year-old is more likely to die by suicide than any other disease or illness. Suicide is the second leading cause of death for ages 10 to 34 in America.
10 to 34?
Yep. So that's middle school, high school, college, working adults. Second leading cause of death, and it's the most preventable cause of death.
What's crazy too is that college statistic. Let's take that, because as a society, I think one thing that I feel very strong about, and this is my personal opinion, okay, is the emphasis on you need to figure out what the fuck you're going to do with your life by the time you're 18.
Mm-hmm.
That drives me nuts.
Me too.
what it is I'm 42 years old.
42 years young.
Thank you. Appreciate you. And, you know, I already had a career. I'm retired from the military. And I love where I'm at, the company I'm at. It's a blessing. My boss is a blessing. Thank you, Travis. I know you're watching. I need a raise. But, and I've had this conversation with people before, even at 42, am I really doing what I love? Have I really figured it out?
Well,
But the emphasis that we put on our kids at 18, because college isn't just 4 years. So like Haley, say I wanted to be a doctor. How long am I going to be in school? 8-10 years. Right. So I'm going to be 28 by the time I finish school. And then at 28, this goes into that 34-year-old statistic, right?
Right.
At 28 years old, now I got $400,000 in student loans because the government ain't covering all of that. I'll guarantee you that.
Yeah.
Because even with my GI Bill and my Pell Grants, I still have $50,000 in college loans I got to pay.
Well, Billy, think about the number of people that join the military at 18 and like, all right, maybe they do 20 years. You're 38. You're 38.
You're only
and
4
retired.
years off that statistic.
You're 38.
This
and
is an
retired
average
from a
right,
job
Haley?
in
This
which
is
like,
average.
Yeah, right. 10 to 34 is like the average number.
Average.
You're talking about 38 years old, and the only thing you've ever done your entire life is be told that you're a piece of shit by some big fat overweight
stop
twice
right there.
divorced alcoholic because your belt's out of line.
Stop right there. What bothers me even more, and I'm sure Haley's going to agree with this one, is the 10-year-old. Why is the 10-year-old thinking about taking their own life? To me, you know what 10 years old is? Hey,
your younger daughter?
My youngest daughter's 13. My oldest daughter's 15. They're in that statistic.
Haley, do we know what it is? Do we know what happened in the last 5 to 7 years that led to that age range dropping down to 10 to 34?
Is
there even speculation?
Yeah, a lot of researchers and psychologists have talked about this quite a bit, and I've asked this question quite a lot. You know, there's a lot of explanations for that. The number one that I've heard consistently across the board is the usage of social media to the extreme, and bullying, FOMO. You know, like there's a lot. I mean,
FOMO, really?
Overstimulation of the nervous system at such a young age. There's a lot to that. I actually just talked to a father who lost his 10-year-old son. They live in Texas.
Oh my God.
And I just talked with him a few months ago. It's absolutely heartbreaking. Absolutely heartbreaking.
I'll tell you right now is, and this isn't a dig at you, Hugh. You don't have kids. I do.
I'm yeeting my niece's tablets out the fucking window the next time I see them.
No, my point is, if one of my girls, who I have, you know, and Haley, we've been doing the show for a long time. People know this part about me, but I have full custody of my daughters. They live with me. You know, they're 13 and 15. They've been with me since they were 5 and 7. Nothing against the mom. It's just the way life happened. But if I lost one of them, I don't know, that father in Texas, if he's watching, if you ever need to talk, we're here. You can hit us up. As a parent, I'm more than happy to help you out. I couldn't even imagine. So my biggest thing, Haley, is with that is the social. I feel like blaming it on social media. I'm not gonna. Blaming is such a bad word, but I understand the social media.
Social media, she said, is also FOMO. What is it 10-year-olds are missing out on? Like, I'm not having any kids of my own. Like, you know, I don't have to like monitor that kind of thing.
Social interaction.
My brother's got 2 daughters, and my sister's got 2 sons, and my other sister's got 2 kids, and my other brother's got a kid. Like, what is it they're missing out on social media? You know what I mean? Like,
all right.
And so like, and I'm asking because like, so yes, I don't have any kids, but there are older people that are still having kids, people that are in their late 40s and early 50s. different mindset, different mentality, almost an entirely different generation. What is it their kids are missing out on these social media?
It's causing their brain to go to that point where like, I can't
what
be
is
here
anymore. Are we able to pinpoint it? Is it a cultural thing? Is it a locality? Is it regional? Is it?
Well, it's so interesting. A psychologist said this recently, and it stuck with me. Is suicide is never caused by just one thing. Like there could be one thing that could be a ginormous stressor on your mental health that could, put you in that space mentally.
Yeah.
But a lot of times it's a multitude of things, right? So like the FOMO could have been the tipping point. You just don't know. Now also like I've had to think about this quite a bit, even in my own journey, is when you're 10, 12, 11, whatever, that age, your brain is not fully developed.
No.
So if there's a kid who's being bullied online by God knows who, it couldn't even be.
And what's sick is it could be an adult. Yeah.
Yeah. Like you really don't know in today's world, which is terrifying. But if you have someone online telling you, hey, you're worthless and you should do this or do that.
That was a dumb statement. That's a stupid thought.
Right. Yeah. Like your brain is not fully developed to even comprehend that that's not true.
You don't have the ability to just let that be the water off the duck's back and carry on. You're going to take that personally and internalize it.
Yes.
It kind of goes into, what we're taught as kids. When
I don't know what this we shit is, Billy.
Let's take the fact that maybe it's an adult that's saying this, right? When I was 10 years old, when an adult told me to do something, it was gospel, right? Let's look at it that way. It was gospel. So it kind of goes even into like the military. When you're getting told something by a senior person as an 18, 19-year-old kid, we'll call it what it is. You're an 18, 19-year-old kid. It's gospel. And even I think, Haley, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think 25 is when the brain is fully developed, right?
I think for males, it's younger than females, right?
I think so. I just turned 26 in April and I had a party for my brain because I was like, I believe at this point is when everything's supposed to change. And guess what? It doesn't change, but you learn how to do things differently.
Yeah.
But, it is true. Like, I think so many young people, especially I have so many conversations with high schoolers, where they're like, this is the end of the world for me, or, something happens. Jeez, no. And I look back now and I have the perspective, like a breakup in high school for me would have been absolutely like, it feels like the end of the world.
Devastating. Apocalypse.
Right.
Nuclear explosion. Absolutely. 100%. I'm dealing with it with my 15-year-old right now. My 15-year-old daughter literally just broke up with her boyfriend. Daddy, I don't know what I'm going to do. You're going to wake up in the morning and do the same fucking thing you did yesterday. Like, that's really what's going to happen.
You're going to do your chores. That's what you're going to do.
But when you go back to that mindset, if you can step back for a second, do what you did, and think about when I was 15, plus your hormones are going crazy.
Oh, yeah.
You're in a fight, especially I got girls. So it's like a roller coaster of just emotion.
There's so much pressure for young people in today's world.
Because what it is it's society. It's societal pressure.
Well, yeah. Now you do one thing wrong and you're canceled. There is no return for you. There is no, or if you do something embarrassing, now the whole school knows about it from Snapchat or whatever, Instagram. You cannot escape any kind of negative trauma in your life. Even young kids who are going through trauma.
It's this.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard horror stories from some of the kids that are involved in Gray Matters in their schools about like, some of them will tell me, my friends that are no longer friends with me created a group chat with my name on it so that they could rip on me all day, every day. And then they would send screenshots around the school of these friends.
Sounds like winners.
Just harping on, like but it's horrible.
It's dumb.
It's horrible.
So Haley, it's funny is I think one thing is what I try to do is proactive parenting. So I was born in 82. All right. Grew up in the late 80s, early 90s. I joke with my kids all the time. I grew up in a different era. I can get on my bike during the summer, 5:30, 6:30 in the morning, and be gone until my pops used to tell me, be home when the street lights come on, because there was no social media. You know what I mean? Like I had a roll of quarters in my pocket. If I needed to call, I found a payphone, called my parents. Hey, I'm here. Come pick me up. Shit's about to go down, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But I grew up in a different time frame. Now, like my parents don't understand why my youngest daughter has had a cell phone since she was 10. I'm like, Mom, I'm a single parent. I have to go to work. I have technology that I utilize at my job all the time between my tablet, my laptop, my phone. They're all synced up.
Yep.
My kids are tracked, whether it's on Apple, Life 360. I have multiple apps on them because I'm a proactive parent. They have one social media that I have access to because I let them so that they can have those because it's a different time.
Absolutely.
And it's also the way I think of it is I was growing up when the internet was born into homes. Right? My kids now, this is how they're going to excel.
It's
is
not
computers
really
and technology.
It's not really the internet anymore. It's more of like a necessity.
Yeah.
Fact, and that's where I'm going with it is I have to embrace this to a point.
Right.
Because this, I could be preventing them from a career.
100%.
Like what if my daughter becomes the #1 fucking coder or AI fucking software engineer or she's
or a PR director or
a robotics engineer, like something like anything. And PR, because this is PR driven. Okay.
Yeah, dude, there's a huge correlation apparently between the ability to do Common Core math and code computers.
Yes, and that's why they do it. That's why they no longer teach script in school.
And if you can
focus on Common Core math,
if you can do Common Core math, you can format for social media and marketing at a higher level and a higher speed in general than people used to be able to do back. It's no longer like, hey man, we need a new thing. Like, what about Got Milk? Let's go ahead and trick the entirety of the world for 40 fucking years.
My point here
now you have to be like, hey, I think Rihanna's available. We should do that.
But what it goes back to is if you become a proactive parent, right? Let's focus on the 10 to 18. Okay. Well, let's focus on the elementary to the high school kid. Okay. Well, actually, let's go to college graduate. We'll do the standard 4-year 10 to 22 in this 10 to 34 bracket, right? My kids have their phones, but at the same time, my daughter had an incident, Hugh, you know this, had an incident last year where she was getting bullied. It's kind of the same way via the phone. But I just don't put up with it. And I'm not trying to say that to be macho. I'm not saying that to be funny. Is I marched my ass up to the fucking school. And I walked up to the front desk and I said, I'm not leaving till I speak to the principal. Well, he's in meetings. Good. I'll be sitting right the fuck over there in the waiting room, in the chair. And when he's done, we're going to talk. And I told him, these are the screenshots I'm getting from my daughter. It stops yesterday. And you're going to call these parents, and we're going to stop it now. I said, because I did law enforcement. Some of the worst calls I had, and I've said this on the show, is walk into a scene and someone's committed suicide.
But the difference
the worst
is
fucking thing in the world.
There's a massive difference there, though, Billy, in that your daughter told you what was going on.
Well, this is the other thing, and I'm glad you said that.
I have a younger brother and a younger sister who both had their own issues. We didn't know until 10 years later because not everybody's comfortable talking to their parents.
Right.
If it's coming from this, you go through their fucking phone. There is no privacy.
But you don't know that. You know because she told you is what I'm saying.
No, I get that. And I understand what you're saying.
So my brother has a thing on his phone. It's like I texted. Well, I told my brother, I was like, all right, fine, let her have my number so I can block her later. And I said, hey, tell Pop don't buy beer because I'll bring beer later. And it flagged it and told my brother, hey, there's a drug and alcohol conversation going on. But not everybody has that. You know, some people are like, oh, whatever. They have the phone or they don't look that kind of thing up and whatnot.
So here's the other thing.
You don't know until way later that there's a problem.
So here's the other thing.
Or when it's too late. That's exactly right. When it's too late.
Take the phone out of it. Take the electronics out of it. Talk to your fucking kids. Talk to them. No, just tell.
I'll say this.
It takes repetitive.
Let me say this. You were born in 82. I was born in 88. Haley, you said you're turning 26. That means you were born in 97 or 98. That's three different groups of parenting styles. Because in your head, talk to your kids. That's the way to go. That's the thing to do. People can do that day and night, but kids are better liars nowadays, little bastards. They don't want to talk. They don't want to share. They don't want to always confide because they have these shows where kids are the smarter ones than their parents. Even when we were younger, like, don't get me wrong, Nick at Night, top tier, top 10 quality programming at Nick at Night. But the kids were always smarter than the parents. They were cartoons most of them too.
I get that.
If you watch these other ones, the kids, they don't want to tell their parents things because they're like, oh, my parents are too stupid. TVs tell me they're too stupid. My friends would tell me their parents are stupid. So I don't want to share with them. And then they keep getting their shit kicked in mentally and emotionally. And then, as Haley says, it's too late. It'd be amazing if you could like track what your kids are doing on their phone and you're like, hey, listen, I have a great relationship with my kid. They tell me everything, but we're waking up nowadays and we're 4 days behind whatever the kids have seen. You and I both understand the fucking words my nieces and nephews use in my car. I'm like, hey, English in this car, motherfucker. I don't know what the hell they're saying.
There's all kinds of new lingo now.
Right?
Yeah.
I can't keep up.
No.
I refuse not to. I refuse to do so. Like, we use English in this car, goddammit, and we'll use words that we taught you to use.
My point behind that is I understand that, talk to your kids. I get that. I understand when I say that, it sounds simpler than it is. But as a parent, it's not just talking once, it's not talking twice, it's consistency. It's
listen,
not just
when you see
as a human being, hold on. As a human being, you're going to do whatever you want anyway, right? Let's just call that what it is. But there is a better chance of proactive parenting
for sure
to prevent these things than pulling a blind eye towards it.
Well, yeah, and to add on to that, there was an analogy that one of my good friends who's a psychologist used recently, and I absolutely loved it, is suicide prevention doesn't just start or it doesn't end with the parents, though. Like, there needs to be a network, right? So you think about suicide prevention and mental health advocacy like Swiss cheese, okay? Yeah. So this is literally the analogy that I heard that I loved it. Okay. Is you think about like Swiss cheese slices, right? They have the holes in them. If we stack up all of those slices of Swiss cheese and we look down, eventually there's going to be no holes left because eventually, right, it's going to be one of them is going to cover the other. Our strengths cover our weaknesses. But at the same time, if you think about it from a mental health perspective,
cover our weaknesses
is eventually, right, if everyone is like Swiss cheese and we are educated on mental health awareness and suicide prevention, someone is going to catch something, whether it's the parent, the teacher, the friend. I think the friend is actually the most important piece because there are studies behind that, especially young people are more likely to confide in their friend or their peer than in a trusted adult.
I could see that.
So
you can see that. I mean, we've been in that situation together, buddy.
Yeah.
Me and you. I mean, we've literally in both directions.
Right. So if we have all these people, right, suicide prevention takes all of us. It doesn't matter if you're an expert or a psychologist. It doesn't matter anymore. What matters is that we all come together and we are intentional about it because at some point someone's going to catch something. And if you don't know how to help that person or even connect them, we don't have to be counselors, but we have to be connectors. And if we don't know what those resources are, we're not going to be able to save lives.
So Haley,
sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, so with that being said, the chapters that get started through the Gray Matters Collective at these different locations, how does that come into play? Because it seems like these locations are they're not all centralized into one drivable area.
Yeah. So with Gray Matters, so for us right now, our farthest chapter is in Des Moines. And which is from where I live is about 3.5 hours away.
That's a trip.
It is a trip. And like I said, there's other states that have been wanting chapters like University of Houston in Texas. And there's some schools in Nevada. There's some schools in Virginia that want this.
Nice.
And, we've been really intentional about, and this is the same for first responder chapter. We have a men's chapter. We have a women's chapter. We have, first responders, veterans, right? Like it's the same thing. We have chapters in libraries.
Yeah.
where the conversation is in that community, it has to be led by people in that community. So first responders are leading other first responders in this conversation. Veterans are leading other veterans. Students are leading other students. And that's where I think mental health advocacy thrives, is I'm going to listen to the person that's knows, what it's like to be a veteran, rather than if I'm someone who's not a veteran, right? And I come in and I try to tell veterans, hey, it's okay to ask for help. Like, who are you, right?
You're like, yeah, who is this person?
You have no idea what I went through, right?
Yeah.
So it's a different conversation. It's a different connection, but it has to be a multi-layered approach, right? Like, that's one support network for that person, but we also need professional support. We need peer support. We need family support, right? Like, there's so many dimensions to support in mental health advocacy that has to happen to help that person become healthy, happy, and well. Like, I think that's the goal for everyone, right?
Beyond healthy, happy, and well. I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, really, like, I think sometimes as mental health advocates, we get so focused on suicide crisis, which is extremely important. Yeah. But the biggest part, I think, for me too, and maybe it's just because I've lived it, is like, beyond the suicide attempt, beyond the suicide crisis. Yeah. What are we doing to ensure that that person is happy, healthy, and well?
Yeah.
No, you're 100% right. In one of the previous episodes I talked about when I was out in Africa, I went to the mental health clinic and I said, hey, I would like to set up some recurring mental health appointments because I want to make sure that everything is running the way that it is supposed to. Like, I choose to be here. I want to be in uniform and I want to serve.
Proud of you,
but you gotta make sure that everything's running the way that it's supposed to. And they're like, yeah, we're not set up for that. We're only set up. We're set up for like the end, like when you're about to snap and whatnot. So you have to talk about, like you say, like, okay, cool, we can talk you off the ledge, we can talk you down or whatever. But like, what are we doing after that?
Right.
What is the follow-on care? What is the continuing treatment? What are we doing to continue to make sure this does not happen again?
Yeah.
And so the Gray Matters Collective, what are some of the main resources that are offered at each location?
Yeah. So we are not a professional service. We are what I would consider the bridge to be the people who are struggling and the professional resources.
You're the advocate.
Yes, the advocate.
You're like you say, you're the connector. You're the bridge between the problem and the solution.
Yes, that's the gray area.
So great. I love it. I love it.
Dude, she can't full circle. She can't full circle.
So what we do is we have 3 things that we right now are really focused on. Is 1, mental health education. So when a chapter is started, we do a seminar with them about how to be a mental health advocate. Like, how do you even talk about suicide? Like, the phrases that we use for suicide. Instead of saying committed suicide, we should be saying died by suicide. Like, that's just one really quick, easy advocacy tip that we can start right now, right?
Interesting. Okay.
We do a seminar with them. We also offer a free national certified training called QPR. So we offer that for free. QPR stands for Question, Persuade, Refer. Okay. So we offer that as a nationally certified training, 2-hour training. So it's not too long out of the young people's day, especially because that's a long time to ask them to.
Yeah, everything's 5-second intervals. So yeah.
Oh, listen, as military people were like, oh God, I have 8 hours of general training to get through.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So we do education, and then promoting existing resources is the second piece of that. So
that's a big deal.
And also helping people understand what's the suicide hotline number, what's the text line, what's a warm line. Like, do either of you know what a warm line is?
No. I mean, I'll be honest. No, I have no clue, Haley.
It's a warm line.
Okay. Do you know what the suicide hotline is? What the number is?
I did until you asked.
Well, they changed it.
It's something 11, and you press 2 for veteran.
Yeah. Yep. So
811.
Close. 988.
811 is trying to get
988. Son of a bitch.
811 is like, hey, where's my power line? So
no, that's 41. Oh wait, no. 811 is don't dig. 411 is info.
Stop. Haley,
But
what
you
is it?
were right. 988, and then you press
There we
2
go.
for veteran help.
Yeah, 988 is
Yeah.
son of a
The
bitch.
text line is
I'm the
741
worst.
741. What a lot of people don't
whoa,
know.
whoa, hold on. You can text for suicide help?
Yes.
Who is at the other end of 711?
So it's 741 741, and you can
741.
text that number, and it takes you to a crisis counselor that can text you.
Whoa,
Get the fuck out.
Yes.
So Haley,
You can't text 911 for a drive-by, but you can text for suicide help. That's
yes, and it's free. No, and you want to hear another fact about the suicide hotline?
Send it.
It's free, available 24/7, and confidential. But what is, I think, the best thing about the suicide hotline is that you do not have to be suicidal to call, and you do not need to be the person that is struggling to call. So if I am texting or
you can
or
call
with
on
a
behalf
friend,
or text on behalf of somebody who needs help.
yep, and if you don't know how to help someone, they will walk you through how to help that person.
So Haley, hold up. So what I want to do is after we're done here today, I want to touch base with you via email or on here or whatever. I want to get all these resources together because I think they're also on your page, correct?
Yep.
On the website.
Yep.
Okay. So yeah. So everyone listening, go to thegraymatterscollective.com. We showed it earlier in the episode. So if you're catching this later on, just go back to it. The resources are right in there. I think I scrolled through a couple of them. It's the second tab on the top of the page.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to touch base with you after this too, because you know what? We've been doing this a long time. And as you can tell, Hugh and I are shocked by some of this information because
admittedly, I should have known 988. But
yeah, no, 100%. But it's okay. You know what? We know it now. That's okay.
Yeah,
we know it now, and we'll be able to utilize
tell people all the time, knowing where to find the info is equally as good as knowing the info.
Facts.
Well, and there's research behind that. If you're in a situation that can be traumatic, right? Like your friend telling you that they're suicidal or family member can be traumatic. Oftentimes your brain might go into fight or flight or just completely freeze. So to know, hey, 988 is readily available to you for your own help, but also to help the other person is huge.
Save it into your phone. Everyone listening right now, save it into your phone. 988, put it in there, suicide prevention hotline. Put it in there. That's a huge thing. Pin it for the Apple users. Hold on, for the Apple users, pin it to the top of the page. Pin it to the top.
Well, I'm a dirty Android user, so I don't have that option.
Yeah, anyway.
But you said one of the big things that you do is that you promote resources, which I think very often goes overlooked because people say, oh, I'm going to start this thing to help without realizing what is in their vicinity or their local area.
Exactly.
You said the Gray Matters Collective is in 64 colleges?
We're in slightly over 60. We just had more schools approved this week, so there's going to be more coming. And we got to update our website because we have exploded the past year. So we have more schools and other chapters.
Oh, yeah. That sounds terrible. Being able to help more people.
Right. I mean, it's amazing, though. It really is.
What are some of the resources, like the types of resources that you can find everywhere that aren't like regional or like based on state or locality? What are some of the larger resources that a person can reach out to if they were like, I don't know what's in my area, but this is big picture?
Yep. Yeah. So I would say suicide hotline, right, is the number one. There's also a thing called the warm line, which is what it sounds like, right? The hotline is for like crisis situations. It should be more so, but it doesn't always have to be. Warm line is for the people who have pre-existing mental health issues or not, and have just maybe you've had a really bad day at work and you want to talk to someone anonymous before you come home and talk to your family, right?
The warm line.
So a warm line is by state. So if you go to warmline.org, you can find your state number. And I have heard amazing things about warm lines. I've used them myself, and everyone that I've talked to has had a good experience with warm lines. So that's one. Another one that I would recommend is usually in most places, there's going to be some kind of mental health support group in your area, whether it's hosted by a local nonprofit or it's, there are some that are like ran through specific churches or schools or, wherever.
Yeah.
Support groups are huge. Support groups changed and saved my life. We offer support groups through the Gray Matters Collective that are free and led by licensed counselors. And it's an amazing space to connect with people because your brain is actually 30% more resilient when you're in a room full of people who've been through similar situations as you.
Yeah.
Really?
30%?
No,
I've heard
that's
that.
a big deal.
Yeah, I've heard that. It's because
hold on, Billy. Would you mind, for those listening later on, would you mind repeating that last little bit?
Yeah, your brain is 30% more resilient when you're actually in person with people, whether it's discussing something that you've been through or even just sitting with someone can make their brain 30% more resilient.
Because they have been through a similar or the same thing as you.
Yep.
That's wild.
It's amazing. It's amazing. I mean, that's an amazing piece of information to have because it's
what a fucking time to be alive, man.
Right.
Like 50 years ago, we didn't know shit hell about fuck. And now we know we can
societal pride took a huge role in this.
Measure the percentage increase in benefit just by being around people who've been through the same kind of thing, positive or negative. We're going to talk about the negative. You can increase the response of a person based on just being around people who have been through a similar situation.
Yeah.
Not even the exact situation, just a similar situation.
Yeah. And that's actually the third thing of what we do in Great Matters is community. So it's education, resources, and then community is the last piece.
Education, resources, and community.
Yeah. Because if you have a consistent, loving community that you can constantly come back to, whether things are good in your life or they're bad in your life, they actually say that if you take 8 minutes a day just to talk to someone who can relate to you, that can have a significant impact on brain resiliency. And the other piece of that is if you can at least get like one hug a day from someone that you know and trust and love, that can also have a significant impact on brain resiliency.
I'm glad you said that. You know what? I come from a very very Italian stereotypical.
Hey, me too. I love it.
There we go. Forget about it. What are you talking about now? Hey, we're going to get into a deep conversation here. You know what I mean?
Hey, stop touching me. I'm putting the fucking knife laying on the palm on the table.
Macaroni, spaghetti.
The meatball.
It's the meatball. I see a fucking meatball.
No, I can't give you a hug. I got to pour the Chianti out of the bag.
No, but what I do with my daughters. So the biggest thing for me is I always try to tell I make sure at least once a day I tell my daughters they're loved. I make sure to tell them once a day they're beautiful.
Oh, I love that.
And every morning when I wake my kids up. I'm their alarm clock. I go in and they get out of bed. You know,
go Rangers!
They go Rangers. But then I do what we call in the Rubino household morning hugs. So you start your day off with a hug.
I love that. That's suicide prevention right there.
So what I do is I love my mom and dad, but my dad is a boomer. You know what I mean? He was born in 59. He's a great guy. Yeah. Sweated blood for his family, did everything he could, clothes on back, food on the table, roof over our head.
Wow.
But I still, to this day, I told my daughters the other day, I say, hey, Pops, I love you. He goes, yeah, you too. You just can't tell. You see, Haley knows what I'm talking about. You can't tell another guy, I love you. I'm like, Dad, I love you.
Yeah.
But my generation, I'm like, Dad, give me a hug. Give me a hug. I love you so much. I was like, I want to hug you. I'm gonna give you a kiss on cheek. He's like, get the fuck off me.
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
or they like get
mean. It's not to be
mean. Hug you back.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, oh, okay.
Yeah, he's like high five. He's like,
you're gonna drive back to North Carolina, you fucking loser. Like,
you had that down to the noise when men are uncomfortable when you give them a hug. You're like,
sure. Good stuff. Yeah, here we go. Okay, good talk. Love you. Okay, get the fuck out. You're making me feel weird. But what I do is in my house, it's very important to me. My girls, sometimes they're like, oh, Daddy, I'm tired. Come here. Give me more hug. Because you got to start the day off with a hug. You know why? Because you're going to start the day off with love.
Oh,
and then you take that forward, and it's going to make the rest of your day better. My daughters, to this day, and I'm very proud of this, cannot, if for some reason it's missed before we get in the car to go to school, because I drop them off every morning. Dad, you didn't give me a hug this morning. Oh, shit, kid, you're right. Give me that hug before we get in the car.
Oh, I love that.
So I love that you said that, because a hug can be life-changing.
It can save a life.
Life-changing. Yes.
Yeah, it really could.
Yes. 100%.
It's funny you talk about the manner in which the older generation deal with emotion. There's a show on Netflix. If you haven't watched it, Ricky Gervais did. It's called Afterlife.
Yeah, that's a good show.
Ricky Gervais is in it. It takes place. The show is set right after his wife passes away from cancer.
Yeah,
And
such a good show.
The whole 3 seasons is his character dealing with and evolving with the loss and the acceptance of moving on. And it's fantastic. Honestly,
Great
it's
show.
like one of probably it's one of the greatest shows I've ever watched. And I will watch a lot of stuff behind closed doors with the lights on with my dog curled up next to me, so I'm not crying.
It gets down to the core of being a human being.
Absolutely.
And I need to watch this.
Oh, it's on Netflix.
Okay.
Afterlife.
I'll
I'll tell you, Billy or Haley, you're like, oh yeah, he made all the noises of a man who's afraid to show emotion. The guy who plays Ricky Gervais's dad is the guy who played Argus Filch in Harry Potter. And there's a scene where he's like, his dad is old. He's in a home. He's dying. And Ricky Gervais is like, I love you, Dad. And his dad's like, gay.
You're gay.
Oh my God.
It's just like
My dad said that to me. My pops
should have laughed.
I gave my dad a hug.
Every time you're just like, I
gave my pops a hug one time at Christmas. This is fucking Christmas. Okay, look, my New York accent's coming out. I gave my dad a hug at Christmas. I pops, I love you. He goes, do you like boys? I was just like, what the fuck? I was like, I like you. You're in good shape.
For him.
So there's
your dad.
There's studies behind this. When I was in school, I studied communication theory and its impact on suicide in America. And there was a whole part of my capstone project on toxic masculinity and like how that has evolved in America. And like exactly what you're talking about, right? Like men have been raised kind of with this idea that showing emotion is weak, and not okay to do. And like, think about the impact that has too. Men are actually in America, men are 4 times more likely to die by suicide than women.
Yep.
Yes.
So
Haley, what with that being said, it's even worse in the military coming from two veterans. So something you and I have said and other organizations.
Hold on, Billy. There's a phrase that we've learned in the military that translates very directly to the civilian world. It is that men commit suicide, whereas females attempt suicide.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That is true.
In the military, it is. I think it's like 5 times higher. I mean, admittedly, it's less than 1% of America serves in uniform, but I believe it's 5 times higher in the military than it is in the civilian sector. The number of suicide completions from men to women, and it's wild. And it's understandably, like, I think a lot of it is, if you look back at a lot of the stories that made the news over the last 10 to 15 years, people raised by personnel who were uncomfortable sharing expressing emotion. Yes. And you end up with these people who are like, I don't know what to fucking do with these people talking to me like I'm a piece of trash because my fucking bed doesn't have 45-degree corners on the sheet. Or like, what do you mean I'm a piece of garbage because I didn't log the fucking book properly?
So that's the thing. Hugh and I, Haley, have always pushed the phrase, and other organizations, and have said this also, is it's okay to not be okay.
Right.
I know you've heard that before. It really is, and I really love our like our good friend in here. I put this comment up earlier. I'm gonna put it up again. Our good friend, the Marine rapper, and he's heard this before too. It's
Billy and I are figuring that out.
Yeah, we're doing the heart thing.
The teens have
not doing it, Hugh. Get out of here.
Do it. Come on, do the other half, Billy. Come on, do it. I believe in you.
He's like, quit the emotion stuff.
Take my strong hand.
You're born 82. Jesus.
Take my strong hand. Anyway, but no. So it's, I really pride Operation Iraqi Freedom, Operation Enduring Freedom, Operation New Dawn veterans that have embraced, from a veteran, and I'm strictly talking from a military veteran standpoint, have embraced the go get fucking help, dude. Dude, what's wrong? Like, talk to me. Like, dude, like ending your life is not the fucking answer.
Right.
Like, let's talk this out. Like, do you want me to drive you there? I'll drive you there. I'll sit with you, dude. I'll sit with you for 72 fucking hours if that's what it needs to take. I don't care. And Haley, Hugh and I, as much as we love doing this show, we've had those conversations within ourselves. You know, I've had multiple conversations with Hugh. I'm just, man, I just don't fucking know. And Hugh, when he came back from Hugh came back from Africa, he went overseas to go. He loves rugby. He plays rugby. Rugby's his sport, just like hockey's mine. He called me from a fucking international rugby match, dude.
Ireland, England.
I want to fucking die.
Murray Stadium.
I'm like, what are you talking about? You want to die? No. Let's get through this.
There was this overwhelming flood of emotion. I was over there with a rugby team. I'd been playing rugby. I've only been playing rugby for 3 years. I started when I was 33, and I was sitting.
I'm proud of you, dude.
Stadium.
I'm proud.
Fantastic.
Let it out.
It's like watching. Like, do you watch sports, Haley?
Yeah.
Do you follow like a team, like a diehard team? Swear to God, if you say a New York team,
I'm a University of Michigan football fan.
It'd be like if you're watching Michigan State in the college football championship.
Oh my gosh.
And you were up by 3. I'm texting Billy and I'm like, I don't think I'm able to stay
He's
alive
texting me from across the Atlantic fucking ocean, Haley.
Yeah. It was wild because like I was having a great time. I was having an amazing trip, but like there was this euphoric wave of positivity that I wasn't comfortable with or was familiar with.
How to handle it.
And I was like, oh my God, is this what happy people are? Is this what normal fucking people? This is bullshit.
Because
I'm fucking down.
We're programmed to fight forward, stop the enemy, come home.
I was fucking pissed. This meds ain't working.
Yeah. So Haley, what I do is for me, what I tell fellow veterans and stuff, dude, go get help. The VA's got clinics. Fuck the VA. You don't like the VA?
Not even just the VA. They have like
you don't like the VA. Dude, call them up.
Mental health.
Call them up. Get your initial appointment. Say I want care in the community. Go see an outside doctor. Right. And you know what I do? I talk every Monday at 10 o'clock. Virtual appointment. I call it my suicide prevention maintenance.
Oh, I love that.
Oh, that's a great one.
Every week, and I'm proud of it.
You should be.
You know why? Because it's made me a better man.
Yeah.
It's made me a better employee, and it's made me a better fucking father.
Hey,
because I was there. For those who haven't, or this might be your first time listening, or you haven't listened to us before,
which is rude.
Like I told Haley and yes, very rude. But like I told Haley in the green room, I'm a suicide prevention. Like I'm a suicide failure. I attempted suicide. I took a handful of fucking pills and I put a fucking gun in my fucking mouth. I took a handful of fucking Adderall 30 milligrams, for fucking 22 of them. Whoop, swallow them down. Put a gun in my fucking mouth, pulled the fucking trigger with a bullet in the chamber, I heard click.
Misfire.
Tell me. I should have blown the back of my head off.
Today is September 27th. Haley, you are speaking tomorrow, Saturday the 28th, for Hope Walk. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
Tell us about Hope Walk.
There we go.
Yeah. So I just learned a little bit about Hope Walk tonight. So there are all kinds of suicide prevention walks across the United States. If you are someone who, lives in North Carolina or, wherever you are.
Billy lives in North Carolina.
There's
you want to go for a ruck, Billy?
There you go.
Let's do it.
You can search for your local suicide prevention walk. There's all kinds. I'm from the Quad Cities. We have I think over 10 for sure. There's all kinds. And usually it's people coming together to walk, not only just for those that we've lost to suicide in their memory, right? We have to keep the stories and the memory alive of those that have gone before us, those that we have
absolutely
lost to suicide, right?
Yeah.
So that is, I think, of utmost importance, is sharing those stories. But the other part of that is to have a space where we can all come together and grieve. We can all come together and, Billy, as you said, right, say it's okay not to be okay.
Yeah.
Also,
absolutely.
we can all come together and work towards a world without suicide. That,
Facts.
I think, is what we are trying to do with all kinds of these walks. So what they do here in Cedar Rapids, their walk is called Hope Walk. And so I was talking with the team tonight. I just went to dinner with them, and then I rushed back here to do this with both of you. And, you know, we were talking about, you know, HOPE stands for Hold On, Pain Ends.
Love that.
Hold On, Pain
I
Ends.
swear
I
to
love
God,
it.
that better not have been what Hope stood for hundreds of years, because I'm gonna be super pissed at public school education if I didn't know that.
It's an acronym that we use in suicide prevention.
I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
And it just, I think
It's
that
crazy that the level of community and willingness to share these types of walks. I've done a Silky an Irreverent Warriors one in Jacksonville way back when to end veteran suicide, and it's just crazy the people that show up, and you're just like,
yeah, they're cool. They're
it's not
awesome.
like you wouldn't. It's not like you wouldn't expect them to be there, but like you hear the stories that people have to share, and and part of it is like, fuck, I'm small.
You know what's great
Jesus Christ. And you hear some of these
Yeah.
people's stories, and it's just like, I am a so much better person for knowing that I'm not the only one out there with loss or pain or hurt
100%.
or like I feel like this and I feel like everything's weighting me down. And then you hear this woman's story or this
You go,
little
you
kid's
too?
story,
You don't feel so
same?
alone.
and you're like, oh yeah, no,
great.
oh yeah, that's crazy. Then you're like, fucking Christ, holy
You know what's cool
shit.
about all that, Hugh, is you start to feel those little parts of that healing.
That little parts of that healing start
Those
coming back to you, and you're just like, you know what, maybe.
Yeah.
Like it's really easy to laugh at Live Laugh Toaster Bath, but part of you has to just be like, you know what? Maybe I'm just gonna have toast. Maybe toast today instead.
Right?
Maybe
Like
instead of a toaster bath, I'm just gonna have toast with Nutella. And then you start talking to these people, and just the loss or the grieving or the story or the time. Time is a big one. Like I know people say like time heals all wounds, and that's not only is that an absolutely terrible fucking cliche, but mostly because it doesn't come with like a limit. Some of these people have hurt for decades.
Yeah.
And for somebody who is under 40 to listen to these people talk about the loss they've had for so long and the strength that they have and how they've persevered and they keep going and how they continue to give back, it can help somebody. I definitely know for myself, many years ago when I did my first ruck, it was like, oh, wow. Okay. It's been like 6 years for me. So like, it's not really that big of a deal. And they're like, no, it's a huge deal. It's a huge deal for you. It's not a big deal for anybody else, but it's a massive deal for you.
Well, because the message there, right, is that your circumstance, your burden, your pain, whatever it is, might not go away, might not get better. You get better.
I tell people often, people hurt and heal differently.
Right.
And it's not up to you to decide if their pain is equal, worse, or less than your pain.
Yes. 100%. Yes.
Yeah. Cause like, listen, like, so my grandfather was my best friend, passed away when I was 12 years old.
Oh, fuck, I'm your best friend.
Well,
he was. I'm sorry. Was. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. Yeah. I'm here now.
About 6 weeks ago, I'm sitting on the couch. Me and my daughter, she loves Harry Potter. We're doing the Harry Potter fucking marathon. All of a sudden, something happened. I started thinking about my grandfather because me and him are the only two people in the history of my family to serve in the military.
Were you watching Harry Potter 5 when Sirius Black died? And you're like, man, that's why I miss my grandfather.
No, now I can't watch it because of that. Anyway, let me finish my story.
Sorry.
I start crying about my grandfather. I'm 42. This is 30 years later. It still hurts. It still hurts. So I hate when people focus on time. Time heals all wounds, blah, blah, blah. No. Like I feel
time makes it easier.
I feel same thing. There's a clip of Billy Bob Thornton, actor, talking about
his brother.
Talks about losing his brother. And he says until the day I die, a piece of me will be lost, and I'm not the same.
It's a great
and
clip.
I will forever grieve.
Yeah.
If you take that and look at, if you took, and we go back to what you said earlier, Haley, it's not one event, it's multiple events that stack on top of these people in their minds, whether they're 10, 20, 30, 40, right? Stacks up and they feel there's a breaking point. Bam. But if you go on these walks, right? If you reach out to a friend, if you just for that split second go, I'm gonna put this gun in my mouth like I did. But you know what? Maybe I'm gonna call Haley. Let me talk to Haley before I do this real quick. Those little things, can be that change.
It's crazy how much it being there for somebody can have a massive change in a person's chemical makeup when they're in that mode.
A 3-minute phone call saved my life.
It's amazing, isn't it?
3-minute phone call?
3 minutes. 3 minutes.
3-minute phone call. Because someone was checking in on me and saved me from the end of my life. So you just never know.
You don't.
Julia, what's up? Put that back up there. I've been talking to Julia for weeks.
She described it perfectly.
The Hope Walk is an event to raise awareness and funds for suicide prevention through honoring those we've lost. Openness to start the conversation to help eliminate the stigma associated with mental illness and suicide, prevention, and education. That's a fantastic way of putting it. And Julia, I hope homecoming went great tonight. She couldn't be here because she was at homecoming.
Yeah, she did write that. She did write that.
I've been talking to her for weeks, so I hope everything went great, Julia. And thank you. That was a very succinct way of putting what the Hope Walk is. And I'm very excited.
Haley, I got one question for you. Okay,
swear to God, this is a range. If this is a Knicks Yankees question,
no. You did a TED Talk.
Yeah.
Okay. First off, I gotta know. I've watched a bunch of TED Talks. Okay. How does that happen? How was the experience?
Ooh.
Okay. So how did that happen?
Yeah.
I want to know the initial experience of actually, and when I say experience, I mean leading up to it. Like, let's talk about a day before. There's got to be some nerves because TED Talks are a big deal. Okay. You actually doing the TED Talk and then I want to know what happened after in correlation with the Gray Matters Collective.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I hit you with a good one, huh?
That's a great. I love this question because I don't think anyone's ever asked me this question. So the TED experience, how it started. So each TED organization, there's branches of it. So I was in the TEDx Davenport branch because was the closest. Davenport's super close to Moline. So a few people from the community had nominated me to do a TED Talk. So they reached out to me and said, hey, if you would like to do a TED Talk, there's some community members who think that you'd be really good. Yeah. And so they wanted me to submit a 1-minute, basically like elevator pitch for your talk. And I remember I was sitting in my senior college house because I was in college at the time. Yeah. And I just talked for a minute. Like I didn't even prepare anything. I just talked from the heart because I'm like, this is what you're going to get, Yeah. And I got accepted. And then we started the TED process in October of 2019. And I had rewritten my talk over 40 times because they want you, actually over 60 times, because they want you to memorize it if you can. And I don't operate like that. Like I'm very much, I go up and I talk and speak from the heart.
Off the hip. Just off the hip. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I don't ever write anything out. And so I thought it was a challenge for me to do that because I have a horrible memory, first and foremost. Yeah. So wrote the talk, rewrote it. There are coaches that help you and ask you really, really hard questions. The critiques are really hard because it's really hard not to take things personally, especially with such a personal topic. And
yeah, 100%.
So I struggled with that. The process was pretty rigorous. I had practiced it over 200 times a week. was what I was doing to prepare.
Oh my God. I'm going to
Now,
when I go
the
back.
first TED Talk was supposed to be March 29th of 2020.
Okay.
I remember throwing beers at the kids walking to class, so they were trying to quarantine during 2020.
Right. Yeah. So it was a week
The
before.
21 and up kids, the 21 and up kids, definitely not 19-year-olds who couldn't go home.
Right. Yeah. And so they kept postponing it, and then finally in March of 2023, I think it was 2023 or 2022, I can't remember. And the month before, it was February, they said, we're on, you're going to go get your talks ready, and it's go time. So they scheduled like weekly practice.
Go time?
God, pretty much, yeah. And I remember I was like, my talk has completely changed because I was in a totally different mental health space.
Yeah.
2 years prior is not the same as now.
Right. And
well,
so
2 months can make
changed.
a difference. Yeah, 2 months can make a difference.
Yeah, and the conversation about mental health had drastically changed through COVID. So I had to completely change my whole talk, and so it was I rewrote it. It was completely different than what I initially had, and so I did it all in a month, and I was stressed to the max, like
I'm sure
freaking out. The best part about this was that I was getting ready. So the night before, they had us come practice the mic situation. So I'm going to talk about this because I think this is kind of interesting. So you can see in this clip, like there are cords dangling everywhere. Okay. So the night before, they gave us the practice of the transition. You have like 30 seconds from the presenter before you walking off the stage, handing you the mic, and then you have to mic up and walk out on the stage and get ready to go because the timing is very intense.
Wait, what? Say that all one more time.
You're not kidding. You're not kidding up, ready to go. Iron Man has to pass
Haley. Like we talked in the green room, I produced this whole show, so I got 1, 2, 3 monitors. We're streaming to 3 different locations.
Weird.
Yes, 100%. I don't give a shit. So explain it one more time because that sounds crazy.
For that whole
so they give you 30 seconds from when the first presenter walks off the stage and hands you the mics, and you have to mic up, go out and be on the red dot in time, and then they're very intense with timing. So they told me if you go over 15 minutes, the lights will turn off and your talk will not be uploaded to YouTube.
Oh my.
That was in the contract that I signed.
Are you restricted to the red dot?
Yes.
Oh my.
Jeez. So I walked out there. Well, first of all, before then, the presenter before me got off stage, gave me the mics, and it was not the mics that we had practiced with. And I was the second presenter, so I was the first person to do the transition.
Oh, God.
So the people backstage are looking at me and they go, you have 20 seconds, 15. And I'm like trying to cord up because there were 2 mics, 2 lav mics. So if you look closely in this picture, like I have 2 different mics on and there's cords literally hanging off of me because I basically had to just like shove these cords over my shoulder and walk out there.
That was just the way they did things on TED.
Well, so this is even crazier. So I walk out on the red dot. I look up at the screen because my title was Mental Health, Suicide, and the Power of Community. I look up on the screen, and the last thing I see before the go time was they spelled suicide wrong. they had suicide up there, and I just remember my stomach dropped. And I remember I thought, this is going to be uploaded to YouTube, and people are going to think that I spelled suicide wrong, even though
I have 30 seconds to swap mics, and you motherfuckers don't have spell check.
So I felt humiliated, and then I was like, you know what? I gotta roll. Like I'm here to give this message. It doesn't even matter at this point. So in post-production, they did fix it. I will give the TED team huge creds because they took it very seriously and they fixed it. So in the video, it looks fine.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
but if you look at pictures from the event, it says suicide. And I remember I was so anxious about that because I didn't want people to think that I was like,
you're the one that did it. Like you're the one that, because they don't know.
Like it wasn't serious. That like, like we're just typing the word suicide. Yeah. It's such a serious word. Like it's such a, it's huge.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So there's that perception. There's that perception that like they don't see this is the biggest thing, and this is what I talked to Hugh about, is we got to do a behind the scenes. Like, we need to do a behind the scenes of what happens and how we do our pre-production, like simple things. Haley, like, we were in the green room for what, 20 minutes before we went live tonight?
Yeah.
Right? We were talking, joking, going over the show, and there's so much that goes into, and this is a very small, simple thing.
Right.
When you get something to a TED Talk, and you got these fucking time cues. It's like you got 15
cord. Look at, there's a cord hanging over my shoulder. Like, what?
From a producer's standpoint, you know what I mean? Because I take the producing of this show very, very seriously. You know what I mean? There's
honestly, I've never watched it. I've never watched the TED where, like, I've always seen the battery and the cables, and I'm like,
but
know what I mean?
It makes sense now. But also, the people that don't understand what goes on,
I would have no idea. I thought that was the way that it's supposed to look.
No, this is
rushing.
This is rushing on stage.
I'm like, look, she's talking about this professional thing that's important. Who gives a shit where the microphone and the battery pack are?
See, this is the
Turns
thing.
out I'm an idiot.
Yeah, where I can see where Haley, you go, fuck, they're gonna think this is me.
Well, right, and so and then it kind of limits my credibility, because then I'm up there. And I'm like, are people really going to believe that this is important to me if they're thinking that I just sloppily put my title together?
You know what? I'll tell you what. And I was telling Billy this earlier. When I was listening to this, I had it on my speaker, and I was walking through my house, and I was taking care of a couple of things.
By the way, Haley.
And I was like, oh, God damn it. Fuck, I just drink beer and talk about this. She fucking cares way more.
I'm telling you right now,
it was I was impressive. Like, Billy, go talk to me. I got to write some stuff down here. Like, this is the kind of stuff that, like, we know that we've talked about. This is why we do the show, but, like, I never actually thought somebody that would be real about it would ever join us. I thought we were just gonna have veterans who want to drink and smoke weed, which I'm okay with, come on the show and talk to us. Then I listened to your TED, and I was like, fuck.
So, Haley, what it comes down to is
far and away one of the most wholesome and heartfelt. You can just hear the emotion in the sincerity, in the manner in which you present your topic. It just is absolute. It's awe-inspiring, is what it is. It shuts down the capability of feeling other things at the time.
Well, I appreciate that, because honestly, as much as I did try to memorize the talk, as I watched it back, so the recording on YouTube came out on my birthday. And,
really?
Yeah, and I was terrified. I remember I woke up and I got the email that it was out there, and I was terrified, because what had happened was I got on the red dot, and after I saw the misspelling, I had a moment where everything just went blank. But it was the best thing, because all I remember is I looked down in front row, and I had asked a few very close people in my life, parents that have lost kids to suicide, friends that are suicide survivors, my best friends, the person that saved my life, my family, all these people are there. And I looked in front row, and I just remember I had this thought that was like, this isn't about you. This isn't about what people are going to think about you. This is about the people that have lost loved ones to suicide, and you need to do them justice. 100%. And from there, a lot of what I said was not what I had memorized. And so when it came out on my birthday, I was actually really scared to watch it, because I was like, this might fucking suck. Like, I was like, I don't remember.
We got to the curse. We got to say a bad word.
Yeah, I'm the Italiano, right?
Yeah,
I was terrified, because I was like, this, like, I always speak from the heart, but that's such a massive scale. I mean, you're getting uploaded to a platform that has over like millions of subscribers.
Yeah, I mean, TED Talks, hey, let's call it what it is. TED Talks are very influential, very informative pieces. I mean, you have some of the most intellectual people in the world, you know, from Nobel Prize winners. Like, I mean, let's call it what it is. And Haley, it's truly an honor to have you here, because you're in that category. You know, of those people that were able to do those TED Talks. I mean, you don't, when you do a TED Talk, it's not something that they just like, hey, you want to, hey, Billy and Hugh, you want to do a fucking TED Talk? That's not how that works. Haley,
a
you
very
you are
fine line between
yeah.
a professional presenter and a person who is considered a subject matter expert in something that,
And then there's
hey,
that subject
we want to
yeah.
allow you the opportunity to tell the
Yeah.
entire world this is how, this is why, and this is because.
So Haley, then you have that subject matter expert, and then there's where you're at with these TED Talks.
Oh Lord, no.
So no, listen. What you did was one
And what you're doing.
amazingly inspiring. Okay. The Gray Matters Collective is absolutely one of the best things that could ever embrace the human race. Okay, because suicide is a subject that is hard to talk about, but needs to be talked about. Right? It's one of those subjects where you're like, suicide, let's call it what it is. Suicide is the definition of suicide is someone taking their own life. Right? That's what it is. And for whatever reason that happens, organizations like yours are helping prevent that. And that's something Hugh and I hold very near and dear to our hearts. And please, Haley, if you can do us a favor, if I can ask you a favor, please never downplay the impact that you're having in that area of the human race. Because what you're doing is you're changing lives, you're saving lives. Okay? And it's truly a blessing to be able to sit here and talk to you today.
Thank you very much for joining us and telling us not only about the Gray Matters Collective, but how important it is, how deeply personal it is to you.
Yeah.
It shows for sure. And we cannot thank you enough.
Anything we can do, Haley, to help push out your message, please never hesitate, with no expectations of anything from, like we don't want anything from it. Anything we can do to help push out your message, please let us know.
Oh,
okay.
Thank you.
With that being said, we've been on here for an hour and a half. Haley, it's been an absolute blessing to take a little bit of your time. We wish you the absolute best in everything you do. I'm glad that you gave us the opportunity to be a little tiny bit a part of what the message you're trying to get out to the human race. Stay with us right after we go off air here in a second. Everyone, thank you so much for joining Liberty Risk Podcast. You know where to catch us. We're on Spotify, iHeartRadio, and all those awesome platforms, except Apple. Fuck you, Apple. Anyway,
good to know.
But you can rewatch this on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch. Unfortunately, you can't. But we're gonna go ahead and push this out. Haley, you're fucking awesome. We're going to throw a little veteran spice on this at the end. You're just one of the greatest fucking human beings to walk this planet, and I'm fucking so glad Hugh and I had the opportunity to sit down and talk with you and just brag about what you're doing to just change the human race and talk about suicide prevention. So everyone, thank you so much. We appreciate you guys. We'll be back here in 7 to 10 days. Just fucking follow our Facebook pages. Look out for the hashtags. I'm going to put some reels out here. Haley's going to do awesome things. Go and follow her fucking page.
Do it.
If you don't, my 6'3", 400-pound, fucking no, strong hand child. Anyway, I will beat your ass if you don't go follow her page. Give her love. She deserves it. And we'll see you guys next time. Y'all take it easy. Thank you so much for joining Liberty Risk.
Haley, make sure you wear some good walking shoes for tomorrow, yeah?